Many years have passed since the last Muppet Show, and their theater is about to be sold and demolished. But their biggest fan, Walter, and his brother Gary, convince Kermit to gather the old gang to raise money to save it.
Good grief.
But with the help of Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and all their old friends, they put on the greatest show of their career, in the Muppets.
We've all just seen it. David, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
It's a very simple story. The Muppets have been off the grid for over a decade, and their biggest fan comes to Los Angeles and finds the studio and theater about to be sold to an oil man who is going to demolish the studio.
Well, what I like about this story is that it really hangs a lantern on the fact that the Muppets have virtually disappeared for the past 10, 11 years. It's really depressing. We've been living in a Muppet-less world.
It's a world I don't want to live in.
I know. I'm a huge Muppet fan, and I'm overjoyed to see this movie because it's a lot of fun, and it's hopefully a sign of more to come.
Well, it's the perfect marriage between the old and the new, right? There's that nostalgia for the 70s version of the Muppets, but there's also a nice contemporary spin in this one. It's song and dance, it's a musical, it's got some fantastic cameos.
And like you mentioned, the nostalgia, bringing back the Muppets after they've been gone for so long, and getting us to reacquaint ourselves with their characters, the hilarious script, the hilarious writing, it really makes it quite a fun adventure.
And it's made by a fan.
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel, who pitched this idea, and he wrote the script, and he's a huge Muppet fan, and this film was made with a lot of love, and it's really a tribute to the golden age of the Muppets.
It's a very clever script. It's got a lot of great meta humor. There's playful puns. It's everything that you would expect from a typical Muppet story.
May I suggest we save time and pick up the rest of the Muppets using a montage?
Oh, great idea, 80s robot.
So he really embraces the tradition of the typical Muppet structure. I do think that there are some weaknesses with the movie. I think we can say a couple of negative things about the
Okay.
I think that whole oil tycoon thing is a little bit ridiculous.
A bit contrived.
I just thought they could have come up with a little bit of a fresher spin on that. And that being said, I do think that they sell it as well as they possibly can. And within the world of the Muppets, that sort of ridiculousness they can kind of get away with it.
What's interesting about the Muppets is that I read online that Frank Oz, who was one of the original voices of the Muppets, he voiced Miss Piggy, he decided not to be involved in this version of the Muppets because he didn't like the story.
Basically, I guess Frank Oz read a very early draft of the original script that Jason Segel wrote, and they mentioned the felt nature of Kermit's actual structure, and so it sort of went against what the Muppets were really all about, which is the idea that they are part of this world, that we don't address the fact that they're puppets, and that was what bothered him the most, and he never saw future drafts and never actually saw the final film himself. And I think if he did, he would probably say that this is a pretty faithful representation of what the Muppets stand for.
One minor weakness of this film, and I love this film, so I hate to betray it, but I would have to say the Amy Adams subplot, the character of Mary.
Hi.
Hi.
She has a pretty weak storyline. Her one character note is that she wants to spend more time with her boyfriend.
Right.
And I would say she seems fairly low in energy in her performance, and her musical numbers are not the strongest.
But the opening number with Jason Segel and all the Muppets, I thought was absolutely fantastic.
It's so good.
Cast of thousands.
It was a beautiful thing.
So the narrative revolves around finding a celebrity host for the Muppet fundraiser to refurbish their studios.
Did you find a celebrity?
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk to you about that, you see, because, I'm kind of a celebrity.
You? No. Kermit, listen. I will not air the show unless you find a real celebrity host.
And their choice of their celebrity host, which I won't say who it is the wrong choice. Let's be honest. It's a newer actor, and it should have been someone who had to do with the Muppet franchise from the very beginning.
Right, someone who had a history with the Muppet.
Exactly. And that it's not what they went. They tried to garner a newer, fresher audience with this choice. This younger audience, and I thought it was the wrong note to play.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a misstep, but it didn't really bother me because I still think he played it pretty well, considering the circumstances.
Or she.
The mystery person that you'll just have to find out about.
And I think there's something else that is particularly endearing about this movie is that it's very old-fashioned. There's no 3D, there's no digital animation, there's no special effects. It's just live action and the Muppets. And as a result, we really get to feel who these characters are, and they have some wonderful jokes in the movie. A lot of them are winking at the audience, very much tongue-in-cheek, but that's what we expect from the Muppets.
What's the movie about? Oh, about an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Ultimately, good writing is what makes this all work.
It's the funniest movie I've seen this year, and I would say one specific scene that involves a group of chickens and musical number made me tear up. I was laughing so hard. I've not been this entertained for a very long time.
I think that it's time for us to take it to a vote.
Great.
Let's grab our tickets. It's Thanksgiving. Take some people older than you, take some people younger than you, and go enjoy the Muppets. It's a see it.
So The Muppets isn't a perfect movie, but the fun far outweighs the flaws. So I say see it.
I can't wait to see it again. See it.
So that's 3 tickets, which is a resounding see it for the Muppets. Cheers.
Cheers.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yay, Kermit!